Alright guys, welcome back to this week's video. We have some urgent news. As you guys might or might know, I wanted to make a video about a trading strategy that I'm using on YieldMax ETF, but we have some breaking news from YieldMax ETFs. They have announced today of the making of this video, September 12th, that they are switching to weekly paying dividends. And of course, there's a caveat to it. We're going to get to it. But this is the announcement they made. They posted it on Twitter. I don't know if they posted anywhere else. A lot of people noticed that their distribution schedules was down on their website, and they have posted a new distribution schedule for their YieldMax ETFs. That is for YMAX, YMAG, and all the single stock ETFs that they have. So let's go ahead and take a look at what they're showing us. They posted here on Twitter. You asked, we listened, and they gave us the schedule of what that we'll be working with. As you see, I commented as well. Have to leave my comment on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter if you want any live updates on what I'm doing and what I'm up to. But besides that, what is YieldMax ETFs doing? What are they updating for us? It seems like Roundhill has been a great competitor. It's pushed a lot of these companies like Defiance, like YieldMax to start releasing weekly paying dividends or ETFs. And of course, YieldMax does have a caveat. It is not technically a weekly paying dividend ETF, or they haven't switched to weekly paying dividends. But the strategy they're going for is a little different, but you still will get weekly paying dividends. And I'm going to go ahead and get into it. So looking at this chart, we can see first of all that YMAX and YMAG will be paying twice this month. We'll being paying declaration date on 9/18 and payment on 9/20, and another payment on 9/27. You might be asking why. Well, YMAX and YMAG are one of the ETFs they'll be paying on a weekly basis. The reason they'll be paying on a weekly basis is because now our ETFs are going to be positioned in a way to where they're paid out on a weekly basis. What do I mean by this? Well, if we look at the bottom, before we look at the top, we can see there's Group A, Group B, Group C, and Group D. What these groups are is different sectors or sections of weekly paying dividends, or how do you explain it? They took a bunch of ETFs, right? So we have a list of ETFs. Let me explain this a little bit more simpler way. We have a bunch of ETFs, right? We have the single stock ETFs. They took all these single stock ETFs and put them into different groups. These groups are Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D. So this is what I mean. They're not technically paying weekly. They just distributed their monthly payments into weekly sections. So meaning, if you have something from Group A, so in my case, TSLY will pay me on the 4th of October. Then Group B, say I have Phoebe or NVDY, that will pay me on the 11th of October. Group C, I say I have CONY or I have MSFO or PP, that will pay me on the 18th of October. And then if I have Group D, or in my case I have APLY and AMZ, that will pay me on the 25th of October. So that is what strategy they're running. They're not actually doing weekly paying dividends like QDTE or XDTE or the new RDTE. What they're doing is they're shifting their payment dates. So instead of paying everything on the same first week or the second week of the month, or the fourth week or third week of the month with YMAX, what they're doing is they're shifting it to different weeks, right? So we have Group A with TSLY, Crash, GUI, YBIT, OARC, Zomo, Snowy, and TSLY, which will be paying Group A. For Group B, we have NVDY, DIPS, Phoebe, GDXY, Babo, JPMO, and MRNY. They're paying Group B. Group C, we have CONY, Fiat, MSFO, AMD, Neply, AR, ABNY, PP, and Ulti paying in Group C. And in Group D, we have MSTY, YQQQ, AMZ, APLY, AIYY, DISO, SQY, and MCY paying in Group D. What does this mean for you? Well, if you have all a fund in every single group, you'll be getting dividends every single week. In my case, I only have Group A and Group D. I have TSLY, GUI, and then I have AMZ and APLY, meaning I'll be getting a Group A payment in the beginning of the month and a Group D payment in the end of the month. I'll also be getting weekly payments from YMAX. This is where my YMAX might become a fund that's a lot more interesting to people to invest into, because YMAX will be taking the dividends paid from Group A, paying it on the first week, taking dividends from Group B, paying it on the second week, dividends from Group C, paying it on the third week, and dividends from Group D and paying it on the fourth week. So that is why YMAX might be a great choice to diversify at the moment, because instead of taking all the funds that you have and taking their dividends and then giving it on 1 week at the end of the month or towards the end of the month. Now you'll have separate groups and you'll be paid out separate dividends on separate weeks from YMAX, instead of investing, of course, into Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D. But if you do have Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D, you have a great compounding effect, and that's what they're going for. They even put hashtag, where is it, drip on their system. It's a great compounding effect, right? People love QDTE, people love XDTE and the new RDTE because you get weekly payments that you can reinvest and then go ahead and grow your payments, week after week. With this, you have Group A, say in my example, I have TSLY, right? If we look at September, TSLY paid me $308. Say, for example, I now have GDXY. I could purchase with those $308 more shares of GDXY. GDXY the next week now pays me more. I take GDXY's payment, put it into, I don't know, CONY. CONY then pays me a dividend next week, and then that CONY payment goes into APLY or AMSY. Then I take the APLY payment, $96, or the AMSY payment, $188, and I throw that into TSLY. And you recycle it. You keep going. That is that compounding effect. In some cases, you might say it's even better than QDTE or XDTE or RDTE because the amount of dividends you'll be receiving is on a higher percentage. Since TSLY right now, I think it's at 50 or 60% return. Let's see what it is. Actually, it's at 75% annual return. But let's say it's paying the usual 90, 80 cents that it has been recently. If you take that 90, 80 cents per share, that's a lot more than the QDTE payment that we got recently at 44 cents or 30 cents per share. Meaning you have 80 cents being paid out or 90 cents per share being paid out that go straight to the next one. Say you have Phoebe or you have NVDY, which pay another $1 or $1.10 per share that goes to the next week and then the next week. So you're having a great sum amount being reinvested week after week. Now, I have to say, I don't know how this will work out. Obviously, you need to have all groups if you want to have that crazy compounding effect. With YMAX, it will stay the same. With YMAX, you will continue to just reinvest and you'll have smaller payments in a sense. It doesn't really mean that you'll have a greater amount of payments. Where really compounding will show you the most benefit will be if you have a single stock ETF or a single stock covered ETF on Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D. Then you'll see the most amount of compounding effects, in my opinion. In YMAX, of course, I haven't tested it yet, and nobody's tested it yet. This is just brand new news today. Of course, we'll get a bunch of people who have spreadsheets and make the test and back test it. But currently, I believe Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D, having an ETF in every single group and then reinvesting it week after week will bring you the most amount of compounding effect. With YMAX, you will just get your distribution that you usually get. Instead of on 1 week, you will get it distributed throughout every single week. And of course, technically, if TSLY pays a good amount on the first week and you take that, reinvest it back into YMAX, and NVDY pays a good amount, then you have more now because that TSLY dividend that paid you on the first week for YMAX increased the amount of shares you have, and therefore if you reinvest it for the next week, then the next week will give you even more dividends from NVDY, and then from CONY, and then from MSTY. And if you look at it, you can see they positioned it quite smart. They put TSLY, which is one of the higher payments from Group A, TSLY and YBIT. Then they put NVDY and Phoebe on Group B, and also MRNY, but it's not that great, I'm pretty sure, at the moment. Haven't checked on that recently. Then you have Group C with CONY, right? That's paying a great amount as well, and ULTI. And you have Group D with MSTY and then AMSY. So they positioned their ETFs quite well. It seems like they positioned that they have some high pairs and they have some low pairs and some medium pairs. So your distribution should be quite equal from week after week when it comes to a YMAX. Do I think it's going to be always the same? Probably not. Of course not. ETFs have different underlyings, different movements. But I do think this will be, contributing a quite equal dividend every single week. Why did they do that? Obviously, we all know why they did this. It's because Roundhill came out with their QDTE, XDTE funds, now with RDTE. It's a big competitor. They're taking a lot of money away from YieldMax because people want that weekly payment, the weekly compounding effect, and also just the ability to have weekly payment coming in, even if it's not for compounding, but just to use on whatever you want. Say you want to have weekly payments you have to make. Weekly dividends is great to have because you don't have to wait until the end of the month and then, finance yourself correctly and distribute your money correctly so you don't run out of money by the end of the month for the next payment, which might not even be that high as expected. It's like having a weekly paycheck instead of a bi-weekly or even a monthly salary, right? You're getting a weekly paycheck instead of a bi-weekly paycheck or a monthly paycheck, right? Just think about it. Weekly payments is what you're getting. And of course, it's not bad. It's also, I don't think that dramatic of a change. Like I said, for YMAX or YMAG owners, I don't think you guys are going to see dramatic of a change of compounding effects. But if you do invest in single stock ETFs, underlying ETFs like from Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D, you will see a dramatic growth in compounding because they do pay a dramatic amount, right? Instead of having TSLY invest into, if you have, say for this week, I'll give you guys an example. For the week before, we got our payments for September. This was my payments for September if you did not watch my previous video. And this is how I distributed it, right? I took my all my dividends and I distributed them into YMAX, GUI, Apple, AMZ, and QDTE. Instead of having to do this just once a month, and instead of having to do this, I guess, how do you explain it? Instead of doing it on a slower pace, right? Because I do it once a month, then I have to wait until next month, and then I have to do it again, and then wait until next month. Sure, maybe it's similar. I doubt that there's a dramatic change in compounding compared to just doing it monthly. But also, if you're doing it weekly and you're doing weekly compounding, you're also capturing lows. You could capture lows better. You could capture highs better. Of course, I wouldn't invest on the highs, but I'm just saying, you could capture lows. You could capture QDTE on a weekly basis as well. So, in general, I think this is a benefit. Of course, this is, not expected, at least for me. I don't keep a close track to these funds as others do, so I'm not sure what's happening on the side of paperwork. I don't keep up with their paperwork. I don't keep up with their website that much. But seeing this news is quite dramatic, or in no sense surprising. And I do think that the compound effects will be there. I think they might be even stronger than QDTE in a way. Like I said, distributions are way higher. Getting 80 cents per share from TSLY, and then getting another $1 from NVDY, getting another $1 from CONY, and then another $1 from MSTY will be extremely, it will be a faster paced compounding effect getting to QDTE, because QDTE, you're getting 30, 40 cents per share, maybe sometimes 60, and that's, on a weekly basis compared to 80, $1, depending, of course, on what you're invested into. So we'll have to see how this works. I think this will be an interesting change for these funds. I think this will invite a lot of people to invest in these funds as well. As you guys could see, if you guys read the comment on the side, I left a comment saying, let's see how this goes. This will be a great way to promote other funds, which it will be, because now people might look into investing into Group B if they don't have Group B funds, or into Group D if they don't have Group D funds. So it'll be quite interesting for that. And of course, taking advantage of the weekly payments, reinvesting, drip, also getting weekly payments if you have weekly payments you have to make. And of course, for me, I only have Group A and D as mentioned, and YMAX as well. So I will not be making I'll not be getting weekly payments from Group B or Group C, but YMAX will be paying me on a weekly basis, which is quite nice. And also, I could use those YMAX payments to maybe go into Group B and go into Group C, or use Group A TSLY payments to grow into something in Group B. I've been saying that I want to get into GDXY, and I might get into that now using TSLY payments, and then reinvest GDXY into Group C, into MSFO, which is another fund I've been looking to get back into because I did own it before. So we'll have to see how that goes personally, but this is some great news coming from YieldMax. They are changing. They're changing quick. They even said it themselves. You asked, we listened. They did listen. They noticed what the change in the market is. They noticed that people are switching over to weekly paying dividends, and that is possible to do. And instead of creating just a new fund that trades on a weekly basis and pays on a weekly basis, they instead took their funds, distributed to equal amounts, put into different groups, put in different weeks, and then that's how they will create their weekly payments, which is smart on their part, less paperwork, quicker to do, and just in general, I don't see any bad in it. Of course, it might even help on the YMAX. There'll be less shares invested, therefore diluting the shares a little bit less, or the distribution a little less than usual. So it'll be interesting to see. Let's see how this goes. Of course, let's test it out. Let's see how it plays out. But I think this will be a good move for YieldMax, and it'll be a lot more money going to YieldMax ETFs, especially into the funds that usually aren't invested into because they just don't pay that much. But now people have an incentive to do so, because now they have all these 4 groups that they have to add money into if they want to have that weekly compounding effect. So anyways, Sorry that the video is not the one I said I was going to post about how I trade YieldMax ETFs and my dividend ETFs in general. But this is some great news to see from YieldMax ETFs. I would love to see how this plays out. I want to see what groups you guys are invested into. So just comment down below. What groups are you invested into? Are you excited about this weekly paying dividend strategy that YieldMax is doing? Completely different from what we've seen recently from any other fund. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to watch and see how it plays out. And in general, see how it plays out in my own portfolio and see if there's any dramatic effect or change, and see if maybe our month-over-month increase percentage monthly growth is higher, or is it lower, or, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you guys for keeping up with me, liking the videos, subscribing. Once again, the likes, you know, help me put out these videos to other people. So be sure to hit the likes and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Hopefully there's no more crazy news coming out from any of these funds, and we could just make a regular video about how I trade my funds, how I trade stocks, and how I create my income. So thank you so much anyways for watching. I'll see you guys next week, hopefully with no dramatic news, and we could keep up to the regular forecasted schedule with videos. Anyways, see you guys. I'll see you guys next week.